December 16th, 1773. That is when the Boston Tea Party happened in Boston, Massachusetts. On December 16th, that is going to be the 250th anniversary of the Boston Tea Party. We're going to talk about that, and we are going to try 5 of the actual teas that were dumped into the harbor on that day, 250 years ago. To enjoy these amazing historic teas today, I want to thank our #1 fans and our really good friends, Samson Historical, for sponsoring this video, and also for donating this amazing Made in America tea set, which comes with a beautiful teapot and 4 cups, and you can get it from their website, samsonhistorical.com. They're based out of Indiana, and this tea set is actually also made in Indiana. And they have a limited time December only sale where if you spend over or at $150, you get free shipping on anything that you want. So we absolutely love Samson Historical, and actually from head to toe I'm wearing Samson Historical, and I've had this outfit for a year now, so we are super long time supporters of them, and they watch all of our videos. They are just really nice people. They are genuine reenactors. They go to the events, and they know the lifestyle. So Ron, why are you wearing this outfit?
I am one of His Majesty's finest privates.
I cannot believe it. He joined the dark side.
Hey, even George Washington was a redcoat at one point. It's 1774.
True.
I'm sorry, 1773. The revolution has not yet happened. So this is appropriate.
Yes, the revolution has not yet happened. Now, what started the revolution? The American Revolution. Why do we celebrate the 4th of July? How are all these things related to tea? Well, believe it or not, they are actually related. So, we are going to try 5 tea flavors that were actually thrown into the Boston Harbor on December 16th, 1773. These teas are still in production today. I know it's incredible, and these are not the kind of teas that you can just walk into any grocery store and go to the tea aisle and buy. These teas used to be extremely popular, but they're not popular anymore. They fell out of favor. And I've only tried one of these before.
The Boohee I've tried.
Yes, I've tried the Boohee, which is this one right here.
That's the most popular one in early America.
Exactly. Have you guys ever tried Boohee tea? Didn't think so! Now, believe it or not, this used to be the most popular flavor of tea in 18th century America, and I think it was the most popular tea in 18th century England, too. It was so popular that Boohee actually was slang for just tea in general, so you'd say, give me a cup of that Boohee.
I did not know that.
Okay, take a sniff of that. I already have my opinion on it.
Woo!
Oh my goodness.
It's smoky.
It's very smoky. It almost smells like you're just smelling
charcoal.
Charcoal or tobacco. Kind of smells like tobacco. Ooh. But more chests of this were thrown in the Boston Harbor than any other tea flavor.
That's right.
But I'm going to save this for the very last because this is the grand finale.
The grand finale.
Exactly. So before we get into it, I just want to briefly summarize what the Boston Tea Party even was that happened 250 years ago and what led to that day. During the 7 Years' War, England had defeated France. However, the war had doubled Britain's national debt. In order to recover from this economic loss, Britain's parliament decided that for the very first time that it was going to directly tax the colonists, aka us. Part of the money from the taxes was also going to fund a stronger military presence in the colonies, and it was going to fund the already 10,000 strong military force that was residing in the colonies at the time. So what were these taxes on? These taxes were on newspapers, glass, which could include windows as well as drinking cups, tea, pamphlets, legal documents, actually all paper, dice and playing cards, sugar, wine, coffee, and textiles for making dresses, clothes, and whatever else textiles involved. All of these goods were required to be embossed with a treasury stamp as proof of payment of the tax, or they would have been seized. Now, as you can imagine, paying taxes to a country that is thousands of miles away, that you've never even been to before, and getting no representation for paying said taxes can be pretty frustrating. That is why there was a lot of frustration among the early colonists against the British. Other incidences start to cause even more tension in the colonies, including the Boston Massacre of 1770, in which 5 colonists, aka Americans, were shot by British soldiers. This tension got even higher in June of 1772. The Gaspee was a British ship commanded by a very unpopular captain who was avidly pursuing smugglers off the coast of New England for years. He had for years been described as a terror to the people of New England. His crew routinely stopped merchants who were both on shore and in the water to force searches of their wares. These searches were described as being very aggressive in nature. He did all of this while ignoring the orders of the local elected governor. To make matters worse, the ship Hannah became stuck in low waters after being seized by Captain Dunningston. He needed to wait until the following day's high tide in order to free it. That meant that he was a sitting duck. That evening, a group of men gathered on the shore and they discussed what to do about years and years of Captain Dunningston holding them captive. They decided to disguise themselves as Native Americans and they rowed out to the British ship. During the skirmish, the captain was shot in the groin, ouch, and his crew were forced off of the ship before his ship was set on fire. Dunningston survived, but he was arrested soon after by the town sheriff after years of terrorizing the town and illegally seizing cargo and ignoring the elected governor's wishes. Well, sure enough, his friend, English naval officer John Montagu, paid for his release. He was then taken back to England and he was court-martialed for allowing his ship to be burned in the first place. So what are some elements about that, which happened a year before the Boston Tea Party, that seem very similar to what happened a year later?
Well, the first one to me is dressing up as a Mohawk Indian.
Yes, that's right. And there's a reason for that. Now, if you just quickly Google why did they dress up as Native Americans during the Boston Tea Party, you're going to get that they wanted to be disguised. But it's actually a lot more deep than that. Starting around the 1760s, Native Americans became a symbol of American identity, freedom, and patriotism. They were often featured in American political cartoons, especially when they were trying to make the English look bad and the Americans look oppressed. They would usually represent an American by having a native being forced to pay taxes by the British. Now, the Sons of Liberty started to dress and describe themselves and even sign themselves as being the Mohawk Indians because of the liberty and the patriotism and the Americanism that was behind that symbol and had been for about a decade now. So that is why when they burned that ship, they dressed up as Native Americans, and why the following year in the Boston Tea Party, they also chose to dress up as Native Americans because it put them aside from being British. The British never dressed like Native Americans. It was an American symbol.
Right, and at that time we were all British still yet. There was no thought of the United States of America.
Yes, so to distinguish themselves as being uniquely American, they dressed themselves as the natives. By the time it was the following year, 1773, there was a lot of animosity towards England and these taxes, as you can probably understand. In fact, 86% of all the tea being consumed in America was smuggled Dutch tea. That meant that 86% of all the tea that was being consumed was not taxed by England. And the reason for that is because the Americans refused to pay taxes to England. Because of this, the British East India Company, which supplied the tea, it was failing. In order to try to rescue the failing company, England reduced its prices to make itself cheaper than even the smuggled tea. The Tea Act of 1773 authorized the shipment of 5,000 chests of tea, which is 250 tons worth, to the American colonies to be sold. There was a tax of 1,750 pounds on the shipment. That is equal to 238,000 pounds today. Now, that tax had to be paid by the American importers when the cargo landed, and that tax would go back to England. Bohea at the time was priced at 2 shillings per pound. The smuggler's bohea was priced at 2 shillings and 1 penny per pound. So after years of Americans not wanting anything to do with paying British taxes, to the point where Americans were actually just growing their own tea in their backyard, and they were paying for smuggled tea instead of going out and just buying the legit tea from the store, the British Tea Company was failing miserably, and it had hundreds of chests of tea just sitting in their warehouse and no one wanted it. So in order to get around that, the English Parliament said that we're going to reduce the price of the tea, but we're not going to reduce the taxes on the tea. We're just going to make the tea even cheaper than the smugglers.
Right.
But they completely failed to realize that that wasn't the point. The point was that the Americans just did not want to pay taxes to England, because we thought that every single penny we were giving to them was coming back to hurt us, because a lot of that money was going to fund more soldiers coming over here.
Mm-hmm. And in other places of the world. At that time, Britain had its fingers in every pot around the world.
Almost every single country in the world.
On every continent.
On every continent, yes. And so Americans did not want to pay for that.
Right.
Well, this plan failed miserably, because instead of just paying for the cheaper tea, in response, on December 16th, 1773, 250 years ago, a group in Boston called the Sons of Liberty, who was an underground organization made up of men whose goal it was to resist the Crown's laws imposed in the colonies, they disguised themselves as Mohawk Indians, and in the middle of a cold and frosty December night, they destroyed an entire shipment of tea that was sent by the East India Company, as their way of saying, no matter what your price is, we cannot be bought. We refuse to pay taxes to England. We refuse to pay taxes without representation. In fact, their motto was no taxation without representation. 30 to 130 men, no one knows for sure because of course they were anonymous. They boarded 3 vessels, and over the course of 3 hours, they dumped every single one of the chests that they found, 342 chests of tea, into the Boston Harbor. That was 92,000 pounds of tea. It was all reported lost by the British East India Company the next day, and it was worth 9,659 pounds in 1773. But can you guess how much that was worth in today's money? You will not believe it. Can you guess?
So today's money, then you said 9,000 pounds?
Yes,
in
in
1773?
1773.
Now I don't know the ratio of the pounds or dollars, but I'm just going to throw out a number and say $10 million.
Okay, that's a little high. It ain't $10 million now. Calm down.
Inflation. $2 million.
Close. In pounds, it is worth, in 2021 inflation dollars, 1,305,000 pounds, and in USD, that is worth $1.7 million of tea. I didn't even know tea could be that valuable. In March 1774, the Sons of Liberty received information that there was even more tea being held in a warehouse in Boston, so they yet again, dressed as Mohawk Indians, broke into the warehouse and destroyed everything they could find. They broke in and they dumped the last remaining tea into the harbor. So this continued for months and even years after the Boston Tea Party. And of course, England fought back, and they fought back hard.
2 points on that. The secrecy, because we don't really know exact numbers. It's, it could be like 730 to 130. But I did come across an article, I think it was about 1830, of a man who died, and when he died, he claimed to be one of the men, revealing himself that he was one of the Sons of Liberty that was at the Boston Tea Party, or as they called it at the time, the destruction of the tea in the Boston Harbor. Now, the first time that it's actually called the Boston Tea Party, I believe, is in 1825, 1826 in a New York newspaper. That's when they finally titled it Boston Tea Party. But before that, it was just known as the destruction of the tea in the Boston Harbor. Now, as Justine also said on my second point here, is that was just the main
main one.
The main one, if you will. There's numerous other ones going down the colonies from Philadelphia to Jersey to New York, down to South Carolina and Charleston. They're stopping and boarding these ships coming up these rivers and trying to get to the tea. because they don't want it to be sold in the colonies.
Yes, they're trying to send a direct message to England that we don't want your tea, we don't want to pay your taxes. Being that no one knew for sure who was the 130 men that were part of the Boston Tea Party, England instead passed the Boston Port Act because it couldn't directly execute the men. Instead, it punished the entire city of Boston. The Boston Port Act, passed in March of 1774, closed Boston's port from all commerce, and it ordered every single citizen of Boston to pay a large fine to England to compensate for all of the tea that was thrown into the river during the Boston Tea Party. So it was punishing even the people that weren't involved. The Boston Port Act was just one of the 5 laws passed by the British Parliament that same year, 1774. One of these laws took away Massachusetts' right to self-governance, meaning that now all government positions in Massachusetts had to be appointed by the king. Town meetings were also limited to only 1 per year, which reduced their right to assembly. Tensions quickly escalated. The Revolutionary War broke out in April of 1775, the following year. And as you know, that led to the Declaration of an Independent United States of America, independent from Britain, in July of 1776. Now, still to this day, every year, we still celebrate our Independence Day on the 4th of July.
You know, you mentioned the Port Act. That was wrapped up in a thing that we call here in the colonies or in America the Intolerable Acts. Mm-hmm. It also brought martial law. It also brought the fact that you had to quarter a soldier. Mm-hmm. So I'm in your home. Make me something to eat. Yep. So I'm hungry.
So a redcoat could just knock on your door and say, or in your shop's door.
Yeah.
It could be a business too, and they could say that I need food, I need water, and I'm going to stay here for a week. And you could not say no, or else it would be considered treason against the British crown. So imagine that. And as you can imagine, people did not like that. And that's part of why we had the Revolutionary War.
That's right.
Now, to address a myth, why do Americans drink more coffee today than we drink tea?
That I don't know, but I do know both coffee and tea have been in America since the mid-1600s. But I don't know why I guess we prefer coffee more because it gives you more energy.
That's an interesting theory.
For me, anyways.
Hey, it does have more caffeine in it than tea, usually.
And it tastes better.
Interesting theory. I haven't heard that one. Okay, so a lot of people think that the reason why we drink coffee instead of tea, even though I'm personally a tea drinker myself, is because of the Boston Tea Party, that it's a patriotic symbol that started from that time. Oh, we don't want to drink no British tea. That actually is completely not the reason why.
Wait, I got it.
Why?
It's because it's cheaper to get here in the early years because it's in Jamaica, Caribbean area, whenever tea is coming from the Asian area.
You nailed it. Yes. That is the reason why.
Thank you, 8th grade social studies.
Awesome. I'm glad that someone in education is doing the right thing. But yeah, he's right. So starting early in American history, coffee has always been cheaper than tea. And that's because we just import it from Brazil, the Caribbeans, and tea, on the other hand, had a lot of taxes on it because usually there was a middleman, England. And so because of that, as a country, we slowly started moving away from drinking tea because of all the high taxes associated with tea. That's our cat. So I have a little information booklet that came with these teas, and these teas were made by Oliver Pluff & Co., which is another American-based company, and you can get these teas from Samson Historical.
Samson sells each of these teas in cans.
Yes.
With really nice labels on them.
So these are just kind of little sample sizes here. This is enough for several cups of tea, though. And so you can go on SamsonHistorical.com and you can buy these teas, and you can also buy this amazing tea set.
I like it.
I really like it.
It's a pretty color.
It's beautiful. I agree. So, okay, which one are we going to start with?
You said the Singo?
Yes, I'm going to start with the Singo tea.
Oh. Singo tea. It gets its name from the region in China known as the Singo Mountains. 60 chests of this tea was destroyed during the Boston Tea Party.
60?
60.
60 chests of Singo tea.
So I guess it was
a more common tea of the era.
Decently popular?
Yeah, because the other ones we're going to try, besides the Boohee, which had the most destroyed, but the others are like 10, 13 chests.
Yeah, I would say this is like the second choice in the colonies.
The second most popular
Number
choice.
2 tea, yeah.
Okay, Ron, so give it a sniff before we try it.
This is the Singo. It smells better than the Boohee.
This is a green tea.
It is a green
It
tea.
smells like just a very pure green tea. There's no weird smokiness going on.
No, it's not smoky like the other one, but it's also not, you know, it's not browned or black like the other tea leaves have been. So I guess they've been smoked or roasted or something.
Well,
I'm not sure how you prepare.
It says the tea is picked later in the season. It's pan-fried and then it's curled and dried, leading to a buttery green tea infusion with a plum-like finish.
Well, let's serve it up. That sounds good.
Okay, let's
Pan
serve it
fried
up.
and buttered. All right.
I don't think there's real butter in it now. Don't get too excited. Here you go.
Ooh, that was hot. I'll wait for you.
Now, I have a sissy mouth, so I can't really drink super hot liquids. Oh, we're about to do the most anti-correct thing.
To His Majesty's King George III.
Yeah.
God save the king.
You're not supposed to do that with tea. It's unetiquette-y.
Well,
Etiquette-y.
Well, it's American.
True.
It's mellow. I like that. Yeah. That's smooth.
It's very smooth. It is definitely green tea. It's not bitter at all.
No, it's not.
It's not. It's not bitter. And Ron is not a much of a hot tea person. I am obsessed with hot tea.
I'm a coffee guy.
Yes.
True. But this is good.
That is good.
I do like that.
Oh, you actually like it?
Yes. Right now, that's in my number 1 spot.
Okay, and we are going to rate these. So this will be the number 1 spot, and this will be number 5. But since this is the first one we've tried, we can't really do much anything yet, rating-wise.
Yeah, okay. Number 1.
Okay, so right now it's the number 1 spot because we have nothing to compare it to. Okay.
So what's the next one we're going to try?
The next one we're going to try is Young Heisen, which is another green tea. It was named for the tea merchant Philip Heisen. It was a highly prized and highly taxed tea. It was actually taxed higher than any other tea, so it was one of the more expensive ones. It's created from green tea leaves that have been picked in spring. Then they've been thinly rolled to have a long, twisted appearance. In the Boston Tea Party, 15 chests of Heisen were destroyed.
So it's not as popular if there's only 15, but yet this is Thomas Jefferson's favorite.
Oh, this was Thomas Jefferson's
Jefferson's
favorite tea, and we're about to try it. Instructions say to let it steep for 3 minutes, so it steeps pretty quickly. And we have dumped out the previous tea, obviously, for it to be more accurate, more tasty.
Yeah, sure. Just a spot of tea, please.
Just a spot of tea. Now be careful, this is really hot.
This one is
I
very
see
hot.
the steam coming off it. I cannot drink hot things. I got a sissy mouth.
Okay, that one's more greeny tea. Greenery.
It's more green.
Greener.
It doesn't look
Greenery.
green, though it's
It looks
clear.
yellowish.
Oh
clear.
yeah, a little yellowish.
But I'm not fond of that one. So for now, we'll put him in number 2 spot. So the first one we tried was the Singo, which I think we're in agreement. That one's pretty good so far.
No.
You think this one's better?
I think this one's better.
What do you guys think?
I just have expensive tastes, though. This is a more expensive tea.
All right.
It's expensive, therefore I like it. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, remember, pinky up.
I'm trying again.
It is very strong. It's not bitter or anything.
Okay.
It's just intense.
Yes, it's not bitter.
I only let it steep for 3 minutes, like it says. It's just it's very, very intense. If you love green tea, And I love green tea, but I'll admit this is pretty intense. I don't know why, but it just is. Okay, so you want this to be the number 2 spot.
But
you already put it there.
It's your video. You are the final judge here.
I'll leave it in the number 2 spot.
Oh, I think.
I'll admit it's pretty extreme. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next one now, number 3. Lapsang Shong. It is a smoky black tea. So we're moving on to the black teas now. It is described as being a strong and smoky tea. The Chinese offloaded the larger, cheaper Sichuan tea leaves to the British East India Company, which included Sichuan teas as one of its common imports to America. In the Boston Tea Party, 10 chests of this tea were thrown into the harbor.
So this one's even less popular then, because we had 60 with the Singo, we had 15 with the
Young Heis,
and now we got 10.
Now this is 10
with the Shong.
Lapsang Shong.
Yeah, Lapsang Shong. Say that 5 times.
So out of the 3 we've tried, this is the least popular one in colonial America. 10 chests were destroyed. And actually, out of the 5 we're going to try today, this was the least popular one.
Okay.
But there were still 10 chests there, so someone must have liked it.
Special order.
Yeah, special order. Someone must have liked it. Looking at it, yeah, you can definitely tell that this one's a black tea.
Mm-hmm.
It is visually quite black compared to the green teas.
Let's see what it smells like.
Oh no!
It smells just like the boogie. It smells like
tobacco.
Like tobacco smoke.
Very,
like
very
tobacco.
smoky. Nowadays, I think a lot of people, they want a fruity smelling tea.
Mm-hmm.
Some maybe floral. This is the opposite. This smells like something you would use to clean your shoes with. Shoe polish. I mean, it smells really, really smoky and tobacco-y.
Mm.
Wow, it's incredibly smoky.
Well, let's try it.
It smells like liquid smoke. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and brew it, and we will give it a go. It says to brew this one for 3 to 5 minutes. So we've been letting this steep now for about 4 to 5 minutes, and the room smells like boiled beef jerky.
It does. It smells very smoky
very
and woody.
Smoky. Yes.
Yeah. I guess kind of like beef jerky too, yes.
Very manly. Oh, and by the way, if you're wondering about my pronunciation of some of these things, I'm sure there is a correct way to pronounce Lapsang Shong in Chinese. However, this is the way that the colonists pronounced it. So I'm just saying it the way that us simpletons
It's regional.
would say
it depends
here.
on where you're standing. Even in America, we say things differently in the South than we do in the North.
That's true. But this is how the colonists would have pronounced it. So we're going to try it, and I'm a little worried because it smells like straight up shoe leather or something. I put a little extra honey in it this time because I feel like it needs it.
So right off the bat, I can already see it's more of an amber color than it is yellowish clear.
Yes, it's pretty dark.
Yeah.
Oh,
it does not smell
I don't
good.
think I'm going to like this.
The vapors are really nasty smelling. It smells like an old boot.
It smells like an old leather boot. It has this smoky
It's like you boiled my boot down.
It's not a good wood smoke smell. It's a liquid smoke that you...
Whoa!
What? I'm scared.
Just try it.
Is it really hot?
No, it's not so much the hot, it's the taste. That's quite bold, ain't it? I don't know how to describe that. I guess I'd still say it's an old boot with jerky and tobacco all mixed together, but it really punches you in the face.
I feel broken.
I really don't want to take another drink of that.
I feel broken
That's
inside.
why there was only 10 chests thrown in. And I doubt anybody complained about that too.
I'll say it does taste better than I thought it was going to taste. I thought it was just going to taste like straight liquid smoke.
But it just tastes like liquid boot.
I don't even know how to explain that.
I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
I refuse to drink this.
I refuse. Okay.
Next.
Let's see. I'm putting this at the very end.
Yes, go ahead and put him at the end. I think it's going to be the worst one.
I don't think anything could possibly be worse. I
hope not.
I hope we have 2 left to go. That was... I gotta try to explain this. I mean, that really tasted like I just walked by a fireplace and went... with the smoke.
That's a good.
And just took a big inhale of the smoke from a really dirty fire.
Yeah, it had leather and cigar stone in it
Thrown
and
in
some
there.
jerky.
Yeah, it's not good. And I put extra honey in it too.
Why would anybody drink this?
That's why there was only 10 chests of it, as opposed to the 240 chests
What we got
of the
next?
Buhi. Okay, so next we have Kongu. It is another black tea. It's grown in southern China. It is one of the great historical teas of China, so it must have a lot of history. The word Kongu refers to a tea made with highest mastery to produce thin, tight strips of tea without breaking the leaves. The resulting toasty black tea is smooth and sweet with the flavor of baked apples.
Okay, I might like this one.
Okay, that sounds good. And I think it's hilarious, the previous one, the Lapsang Shong, in the description, it didn't even try to make it sound good.
It didn't describe what
It didn't
like.
describe the taste.
Now, how many chests of this was thrown over?
15
Okay.
chests were thrown.
So the same as the second one we tried.
Yes, as the young Heisen.
All right.
So the one we just tried, the Lapsang Shong, was 10 chests. Kongu is 15 chests, so it was a little bit more popular.
Well, let's give her a sniff and brew
Okay,
her up.
let's see. This is a black tea. To me, it's a black tea with hints of fruit.
I don't smell the fruit. I smell just a tiny bit of smokiness.
I smelled the apple a little bit. It's very mild compared to what we just had.
Let's see if we can taste it.
We're getting close to the end here. We only got 2 teas left. So we're about to try Kongu. We've been letting it steep for 4 minutes now. The room doesn't have a weird smell like it did with the last one. So let me serve you up. Okay, it is about the same color as the last one. Be afraid.
I still don't smell the apples.
Ooh, now it doesn't smell good to me.
Bottoms up.
Man.
I don't taste the apples. They lied.
They lied.
They lied.
They lied.
There's no apples in here.
Where are my apples?
It's if you took the Lapsang Shong
That ain't that bad though.
and mix it with the if you took the young Heisen and mixed it with the Lapsang Shong and combined them, that's what I'm saying this is. It's not quite as smoky.
It's not bad.
But it's more weird like the... Yeah. I don't like it though. 1 sip's enough for me.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
What's the last one?
Okay, but first of all...
Oh yeah, let's...
Okay, so here it is.
Not last place, but second to last, yeah.
Second to last. And then there was one.
The most popular tea in America for a long time.
In the entire 18th century.
And most of the 19th.
Yeah, and most of the 19th. Buhi tea. The tea with the funny name. Okay, we're going to try it out.
Some people probably say bohi, but it just, once again, depends on your understanding.
I swear, it's Buhi. Okay, so this is a black tea. You have to steep it for 3 to 5 minutes. It's lightly smoky. It is a distinctive black tea blend with a light smoky flavor. It was so popular in colonial times that Buhi became the common word for tea. So it's slang for tea. It was imported in larger quantities than all other teas combined. In the Boston Tea Party, 240 chests of Buhi were destroyed, as opposed to everything else here, 15, 10 chests, whatever. Except for the Singo, which was 60 chests, 240 of the Buhi.
Now, I do have a theory. Was it so popular because it was the cheapest one, or because it was the best tasting one?
I don't know.
Were these all the same price, I wonder?
The only one that I know about the price was the Young Heisen, and that was the most expensive tea.
Okay.
I honestly don't think this was the cheapest tea, because the cheapest tea would have been the native grown root type herb teas. Disappointed.
Yeah, that's just pure smoke.
Smells like smoke.
Who names these? They should just name this smoky.
Smoky.
Extra smoky, lightly smoky.
Right. This is pretty smoky.
That's the smokiest of them all.
No.
I think that was the smokiest.
I think this is the smokiest. The shoe Shong.
Okay, it was, but it tasted or it smelled like leather too, smoky leather. This is just pure smoke.
Smell them both.
Okay, this is the shoe shong.
Shoe strong.
Let me cleanse my nose palate here.
Oh.
Okay, you're right. The shoe shong was stronger.
This is stronger. So this is probably still going to be at the very end. But we got to figure out why was this the most popular tea. So we're going to try it out. We've been letting this steep now for 5 minutes. It says 3 to 5 minutes. So we're going to get the full effect here.
Yep. This is the grand finale.
This is the most popular tea in early America. We're going to see why. Thank you, thank you. And then maybe at the end you can read your tea leaves and tell me my destiny.
Okay.
Okay.
I know nothing about that, but alright. Okay, it smells smoky.
It smells very smoky.
It doesn't smell good at all.
I'm just a little traumatized by the Souchong one, so I'm just worried I'm just gonna have another cup of Souchong.
Yeah, it tastes like it.
Oh, really?
I think this was the cheapest, and that's what made it the go-to. Because even today, we have more expensive teas, more expensive coffees, so why wouldn't they have more expensive tea or more expensive coffee back then? You know?
Actually, this isn't bad.
You like it?
Kind of.
There you go. I do not like it. But not as bad as the Lapsang Shong. That's the worst.
I'll admit the smokiness, I have never in my life had a tea smoky. So this, I really have to get used to this, but I'm sure someone back then was used to it, so they thought it was normal, but it's a little off-putting, just having liquid smoke in a drink.
Yeah, it's not for me.
In a drink, it's a little strange to be drinking something this smoky. You're used to it in a brisket, but not in a drink, so you gotta get used to it. There's kind of this mind game thing where at first you're saying, I don't like this, get it out of me, but it's not that bad.
I'm very surprised that the one I like most is a green tea, because today I do not like green tea. I'm a black tea drinker when I do drink tea, and preferably iced black tea.
Oh, you American.
Yes, I am. Take this off right now. I'm switching sides.
Switching sides.
Yeah, get off of me.
Oh no, it's become a part of him. We like our iced tea in America. See ya. Okay, but I think this ain't that bad. It really isn't that bad. Let's see. Where is it?
I think it's where it belongs. You can
In the
maybe
middle?
switch it with number 3. You can switch it for number 3. That's fine. Yeah, put it in the middle.
Okay, I'm putting it in the middle. Green tea wins, and I am an addicted green tea drinker, so that's not really surprising. I have 1 to 5 cups a day. And then all the black tea is at the end because we're super biased. So this is the order here. Let me read it out. Number 1, Singo. Number 2, Young Heis. Number 3 in the middle, Colonial Boohee. And number 4, Kongu. And finally, at the very end, Ain't Nobody Like You is Lapsang Shong. And even back then, nobody liked you because there was only 10 chests of it thrown at the Boston Tea Harbor.
I agree with that ranking.
Okay, so we have our ranking. We have tried all of these teas. Thank you so much for being here with us for the 250th anniversary of the Boston Tea Harbor in Boston, Massachusetts. We really appreciate you watching, and thank you so much to Samson Historical for sending us this really, really nice teapot.
It's very nice.
It's very nice. It's lightweight. It holds the heat really well. Okay, I sound like a salesperson, but it's just a really nice teapot, and I like. It's made by a small business, and it's made in America, so I just really like it. And I feel like it could fit a modern aesthetic, historic. Absolutely. Comes with 4 cups. Thank you guys. Thank you, Samson. Take care and have a good day.
Bye-bye. Give me some coffee.
Okay.